Your contribution is in building the infrastructure in which way?
So MediaTek is a fabless chip design company.
Okay.
So we design the chipsets which are powering several devices around us.
Okay.
And this year was, he talked about 6G, he talked about the digitalization of the country,
Yes.
and also how this is transforming the lives of common people.
Yes.
And actually we can see that through UPI, Aadhaar and all that. And
So what is your one thought about IMC 2024?
it is grand. Yeah.
Telecom world, the evolution we have come to.
It is all inclusive.
So Anku, welcome to India Mobile Congress first, and also I want to share this common namesake space with
Yeah.
you. I am Anku, and happy to meet you.
I'm Anku as well. Yeah. So I think it's almost the first time I'm meeting someone
First
like
time
this.
you're meeting, like
Yeah.
we are some soul apart meeting again.
Yeah,
So
it's
pretty,
quite nice. Yeah.
Yeah, even I feel so. And coming to this place, India Mobile Congress, I think you guys have a great contribution to the summit as well. We defined it as a great, grand technology telecommunication summit of India. And we are this time displaying it to the world with WTSA being just around us. How do you define it?
So actually, we have been here multiple times, as you would
Yes.
imagine, and this is the 8th edition. And every time, actually, I feel very excited to be here because we are able to meet all the stakeholders, all the customers, telecom players, the government officials, and
It's
so
like
on.
one big wedding for you.
Well, one big wedding where people are crossing each other, and we just talked about we are so busy today.
Yes.
And I think the reason is that we keep bumping into people we know and
And you
in the
don't
same
want
industry.
to know.
That too, but I think mostly whom we want to know.
You know.
And I think it's good because sometimes when you cross like this, you end up discussing certain things which are actually important, but you don't get time to do it.
You don't get
Yeah.
time, and
Yeah.
things are not just about calling someone for purpose.
Right.
Today, everybody is just calling people when they have work and they put it down.
Right. So this is like kind of without agenda, right? And I think that's always a good way to innovate together and to have.
You know, our Prime Minister's speech has always been very impactful, at least on digital space. We do see its impact. What was that one thing, if you attended the inauguration part of it, what was that one thing that really stayed with you, at least for the 3 days now?
So,
that he said?
if I see last year, it was definitely about the 5G rollout,
Yeah.
right? I think that happened in October last year. I totally remember that. And this year was, he talked about 6G, he talked
6G
about
vision.
the digitalization of the country.
Yes.
And how
And also the do's and don'ts.
do's and don'ts. And also how this is transforming the lives of common people.
Yes.
And actually we can see that through UPI, Aadhaar and all that. And of course, telecom industry has a big role to play in that. But I think he was really emphasizing on the aspects of how do the common people benefit? Because actually that's happening as we speak. Yeah.
You have a major contribution in the area of developing the ecosystem of the telecom world. We have seen this whole telecom progression for decades, like any other
Yeah.
sector does. But technology has been majorly played up in the hands of telecom. जितना टेक्नोलॉजी का यूज टेलीकॉम सेक्टर करता है, आई डोंट थिंक किसी और में हम देखते हैं कोई भी ऐप हो, कोई भी सर्विस हम फोन के थ्रू ही यूज कर पा रहे हैं मेजरली. अब तो OTT भी फोन पे आ गया है. योर कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन इज इन बिल्डिंग द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इन विच वे? किस तरह से आप इसमें कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हो एज मीडियाटेक? Can you explain that to
So
us?
I can quickly, tell you about overall, maybe in a minute, what MediaTek does. So MediaTek is a fabless chip design company.
Okay.
So we design the chipsets which are powering several devices around us.
Okay.
So one big vertical which is quite popular from what people know about is the smartphones.
Yes.
So our chipsets actually power the smartphones,
Okay.
and we have a global, quite a huge market share in
And
India.
you're the fourth global
We
player.
are the fifth, actually, the fourth and fifth, global fabless company
Okay.
globally. But we have 54% market share in India
Wow.
for the smartphone chipsets. So that's quite huge.
Yes.
And so that's how we are making an impact. If I see if you see how the technology is democratizing the people's lives.
Yes.
So, all segments of society are actually able to, make use of the smartphone capabilities and
It
how
has
to be
become
connected.
a necessity.
Necessity, and also it's empowering for the urban as well as the rural
Rural as
population. So that is one aspect. So that is majority of our revenue comes from smartphones, and then we have many other aspects like smart TVs and routers and speakers and Wi-Fi and so on. So we have multiple verticals that our chipset power, and actually we power about 2 billion devices per year.
Oh my God.
2 billion, it's like a huge number, and I'm
It
sure
is.
that if you really search inside the products at your home, there'll be many products which are powered by MediaTek. Yeah, I'm 100% sure.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
We knew it, but to know the number, it is quite startling.
Yeah, so 2 billion plus, I mean, that's like
per year is like
incredible.
Yeah,
Right.
bigger number.
So,
Now to-
your question about what role we play, right,
Yes.
in the telecom industry. So, actually it started with the smartphone first, right? I think everyone is empowered by a smartphone.
Yes.
So the brain and the heart of the smartphone is a chipset. So that is actually the computing power inside the smartphone.
It's like the CPU of a computer.
It is the CPU.
It
So,
is the-
it has CPU, it has GPU, it has the APU, which is the AI processing unit. So it is all that is part of the chipset. And that is actually what is powering the chipset, the phone. And of course, the phone also has other building blocks like a screen and the Wi-Fi and so on.
Yes.
But it is the chipset which is actually the main technology inside
The
the phone.
storage and everything is part of the
that's
chipset,
correct. That's
right?
correct. Yeah. So that is how we are revolutionizing the ecosystem.
So it is an indigenous company.
Mhm.
Somewhere it makes India Atmanirbhar with this aspect of we making maximum share in the semiconductor and the chip space. Is that
So MediaTek is a Taiwan headquarter company,
Okay.
and of course we have big presence in India from R&D point of view as well, and we have a lot of design capabilities in MediaTek in India. So we are making the chipset, but I think Atmanirbhar.
But now
aspect-
you're making it in India? Do you have a...
so we are
or
a
it is
fabless.
just-
So
okay.
we are a fabless company. What fabless means is that we design the chipsets, and then the manufacturing is done by other partners that we have.
It is more like franchised out to someone, or somebody makes it for you on basis of the design that is
it
created?
makes it for us. So as an example, TSMC in Taiwan, they make the chipsets based on our inputs, and so that is a total different ballgame. But we are the fabless design company, and the way Atmanirbhar Bharat, I think we definitely play a role in that is because based on the chipsets in different verticals which I mentioned, we have a lot of flourishing Indian companies which have come up.
Okay.
Which are actually the electronics manufacturing companies,
Okay.
and who take our chipsets and they have products like
So they were able to create their own products basis the chipsets that
Absolutely,
you provide. So
right.
somewhere you have given a push to the Atmanirbhar idea of indigenous growing
That's
of
right.
this sector
Right.
by providing your chipset.
That's
to
right, because
major
chips,
share in the
yeah, because chipset is a very key component of any electronic
it
product.
is everything
Right.
of a component.
That's correct. So that's how we empower, in some sense, the electronic manufacturers.
So with the progression we are seeing or evolution we're seeing in the telecom world, not just about the network, not about 5G, 6G alone, but the way the handsets are changing, the smartphones are changing, the brands are coming up with newer models and you have to incorporate with their requirement. How are you dealing with it? Is it a very fast growing space? Is it a difficult space? Or is it standardized for you and you just manage to fit into any development and a design in the smartphone?
So I would say it is fast and difficult. It is difficult for sure because we have to keep innovating, and keep ahead of the curve. As an example,
how much do you have to innovate vis-a-vis the designs or the phones changing? What is the level of changes that you have to make at your end to adapt to the new?
So actually,
phone sets?
so every chipset is a it's a very long cycle
Okay.
to get a chipset design out. So in fact, last week we announced our MediaTek Dimensity 9400 chipset,
Okay.
9400, and that is the latest flagship that we announced, and it is built on a 3 nanometer process.
Okay.
So that actually has its own computing power capabilities and power efficiencies. But I think overall cycle to create a new chip is pretty long and very, very R&D intensive. And in fact, last 5 years we spent about $18 billion on R&D. So that's the amount of effort which goes into the chip design.
According to you, what are the three things that the telecom space, especially when I'm talking about telecom, talking about the phone, the smartphones and the area where you play a major role, that need to work upon to get it up there? Like we are progressing in the network now.
Yeah.
What is that you think the telecom sector needs really to pace up on? Three things.
So I think I would talk about from the handset point of view.
Okay.
From handset point of view, one thing which is caught everyone's imagination is AI.
Yeah.
Right. Now we have a lot of capabilities on the chip, smartphone
Which
chip,
is AI embedded?
which is AI embedded. It has AI inside, and it is actually able to run LLMs on the device.
So it is more like a
Automation, and it can actually have a lot of capabilities. So as an example, you might be aware of stable diffusion.
Yes.
That is that is a LLM which that's a capability which can convert a prompt to an image. Now that can actually happen on the device itself without
Wow.
any connection, on the
Wow.
edge, right? So that is the kind of capability that we are moving towards. So AI is one aspect, and I think from telecom point of view, I heard some companies working on spam filters and all. So that is
Yes.
very, very nice to see because
Yeah.
I think all of us are really bugged with all those spams.
Yes.
But definitely from the handset point of view, in the chipset, we have to keep building new technologies so that we are able to satisfy the user requirements.
What is your thought about the 6G vision that the country is now walking to? We have come out with 5G,
Yeah.
moving towards 6G. Now that you are a person who knows it better, how do you define it? If you have to say 5G, 6G to a youngster, how would you define this?
So
what is the difference?
So 5G, if you see compared with 4G, right, it was more speed and low latency.
Yes.
Right. Now 6G will be another level to that. Right. It
More
will
speed,
be
more latency.
more lower latency.
Lower
So
latency.
all that can actually help them in the critical communications. For example,
More data security as well.
data security as well. Right. But I think the way it helps is that it can build up more capacity for the network. Right. Even today, if you see 5G versus 4G, 5G is able to actually have better speeds. Maybe not as given in the standards, but still is better than 4G for sure.
True.
Right. So similarly, 6G will be even better, and it is going to help in use cases which need very low latency,
Yes.
as in health operation, like robotic operation, which is
Immediately
remote.
real time.
It cannot have any error, right? And also, if you see the for 5G or 6G, if you see the vehicle automation, so vehicles have to actually maybe communicate with the environment outside or environment with the other car. That has to be instantaneous. It cannot have any lag.
True.
I think that's where this technology is really helping to deploy all those things.
Now, Anku, going back to how you've seen your journey in this space, how closely are you connected to the telecom and the gadget world? Which is your favorite tech gadget?
I
You
think
cannot live without.
it is certainly a smartphone because that is something you wake up with and sleep with.
Which
Right?
smartphone is in your pocket right now?
So it is actually it is a Vivo X100.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
surprised it is not Apple. Everybody
Yeah.
turns up with a new version of it.
So that is actually using our very
So
latest
you're taking
chip.
your own brand and your own product and
Yeah.
flaunting it out.
Yeah, of course. I really enjoy using that
Which
phone.
is the app you spend your most time on? And be honest.
Actually, it's WhatsApp.
Why?
Yeah, not very exciting, right? It's not
I was-
Insta.
I was
I
expecting
think the
something
new
else.
generation spends time on Discord and
Yes.
Insta. That's what my son does
Yes.
all the time.
Instagram is much
yeah.
more watched by the
Right, right.
youngsters.
But maybe I'm old generation.
Yeah.
So I spend time on WhatsApp and such boring things.
If you have to suggest something to the youngsters today, since you're into providing the nervous system up to a smartphone, what is that you will tell the youngsters, as a suggestion that go with this or go with this kind of smartphone, pick this, what is that?
So actually,
we should be
I would
taking care?
suggest more of a behavior suggestion.
Okay.
I think right now the youngsters they
We go by brand.
sorry.
We go by choosing the phones by brand, like.
No, not really that. I mean, I think that's a very personal opinion, personal choice. But I would say, that they should be cognizant of the amount of time they're spending on
Okay.
things like Insta, for example, right? They have to really see, it is very addictive, right?
It is addictive. How do you
Reels
control
and
that?
Insta
Yes.
and all that. I think so. That is something kind of mental exercise they should do, so that they don't get addicted. I mean, that's what I see all around me.
I
and
think your semiconductor should have self-control button.
yeah, it
They
should maybe have
switch
a
off the phone immediately after a
right,
few
right.
seconds.
That is something which is I feel really a negative part of all this,
Okay.
and people are getting addicted, and that's something people should control, and they should always see, what is the better value added, action they can take. They can of course use a smartphone, but then do something, maybe listen to a important podcast like
Yes.
this, right? I think that would be more useful.
Last, you tell me one thing. If you have to leave us with a imaginative thought of yours, if you were to provide semiconductors today in the fast-growing world we are going, what is that one feature you're aspirational about, wish could have brought in? Just the AI we never thought will come in like this and take over. The adaptability of AI has gone like
Crazy, yeah. Right.
and too fast. Even WhatsApp took a decade almost to get to people's nerve.
Right.
To get to their understanding that even generations can use it. But AI has just swept in like, I don't want anyone. I don't even want a person to tell me what to do today.
Right.
I'll ask my AI, chat GPT or whatever.
Yeah.
What is that you would have imaginatively done with semiconductors, with chips that could have been like a breakthrough idea, which has not come in play, but
I think
What
certain things which are already actually come in play already to some extent. It is about more foldable technologies,
okay.
right? I think that really gives you more real estate.
Okay.
So for again a young audience, if someone is into gaming and he needs to expand the mini map of a game, or if he has to have multiple finger gestures and have a nice experience in that, I think those are the kind of things which are also evolving. And in fact, our chipsets also do a very good job in giving an awesome gaming experience to the
Okay.
end users. So that is evolving, and I think that has more scope to get better in
That's-
terms of screen size and stuff
So
like
leave
that.
us with one thought about the words that I tell you. So what is your one thought about IMC 2024?
It is grand. Yeah.
Telecom world, the evolution we have come to.
It is all inclusive.
It is all inclusive. The smart chips or the smartphones and the semiconductor chips. What is that one word that comes to you?
It comes about maybe right now it's our AI, I think.
It's
AI
AI?
is what's coming to mind, apart from computing power, etc. But AI is all about AI at the moment.
And what do you see in next 10 years India come up with in the telecom space?
I think next 10 years, we can call it telecom or we can call it the ecosystem. But I think the semiconductor chipset fabrication is the kind of last frontier where we are lacking. And that's where, we have seen a lot of traction recently in this year.
Okay.
And I think it's a very strategic sector, the semiconductor industry. It is, we have seen in the past about value chain disruptions and which have actually caused chip shortages.
Yes.
I think that is the kind of thing which we need to solve as a country. And next 10 years, I think this puzzle will be solved. And we'll have manufacturing of, of chipsets. We'll have electronic manufacturing in India and such activities. So I think that ecosystem is building up and it will totally be mature by that time.
Thank you so much, Anku. It was really, really nice. I still feel odd addressing you by my own name.
Yeah.
It is really amazing for us to understand that how a phone is made,
Right.
what is the integral part of it, and what really gives us the true experience are the smart chips, the chips that are conducted, inserted in the smartphones that make it more valuable
Yeah.
than just looking at the brands and going and,
Right.
acquiring them
Yeah,
without
what we
knowledge.
need to see what's inside. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you so
All right.
much. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your
It was a pleasure
time.
talking to you. Thanks.